I'm ready. I'm super excited about this brief devotional message. And so let's talk from the topic, it's in the house. It's in the house. I have 4 points that I want to give us as it relates to it being in the house. There are some things that we will not get to experience without being in the house. These benefits are for those that live under this roof. It's in the house, right? And so, number one, it's in the house. It's in your local church. It's in that place that God has ordained that you and I be, that you and I dwell, you and I reside, that group of believers that God has called us to fellowship with, and that shepherd or those shepherds that God has called for us to sit under. The Bible says that I will give you shepherds who will feed you with knowledge and understanding. So I understand, and I'm humble enough to understand this, that is a certain level of understanding you and I would not appertain to without a shepherd, without coming under. There's so much power in coming under. Remember, I said it before. If we don't come under, we'll never get over. There are some things in our lives that we will never get over if we don't come under. And so in that place wherein I'm being shepherded and I'm being part of a local flock, I'm receiving the training, right? I'm receiving understanding. I'm engaging in fellowship with like-minded people, right? And I'm being held accountable. And so I want to delve into accountability just for a quick second. Some of us have marvelous, amazing, and I'm one of them, abilities, right? But if we have no accountability, we will mismanage and misuse and abuse our abilities. See, it's the accountability of a local church, a local group of believers that can help hold me accountable for the way I'm thinking. Sometimes the word comes down and the word comes to us and it checks the way we're thinking. I can remember times in which I was off in a particular scripture, and the word that came from the pulpit was able to redirect my thinking into where God could bring me into his revelation, not my revelation. See, sometimes you can mix up your imagination and call it God's revelation, but revelation and imagination are two separate and distinct things. I will give you shepherds, and their job, listen, shepherds, your job is to feed the flock with knowledge and understanding. And I'm just curious, is there no more fear of God to where I can pull out anything and feed God's child? I have enough reverence and respect for my friends that I will not feed their children just any old thing. Come on. I'm not going to give my friends' children junk. I'm not going to give them last week's leftovers, not yesterday's leftovers, because we've learned that sometimes a leftover could be better than the original. Anyhow, listen. I'm not going to give my good friend, my brother's child or my sister's child, I'm not going to give them stale and rotten food. I'm not going to let them spend a weekend with me and give them ice cream for breakfast and ice cream for lunch and ice cream for dinner. But I'm also not cruel enough and so rigid that I'm going to give them Brussels sprouts for breakfast and Brussels sprouts for dinner and Brussels sprouts for lunch. Come on. Are you with me? It's in the house. It's in the local church. And thank God for shepherds and for local churches that are really called of God. Understanding this here, there is a level of fellowship that is only unique to the believers. There is a level of fellowship that is only unique to the believers. I don't have time to stay there. Number two, it's in the house. It's in our cultivation of our relationship with Christ in private. It is in our cultivation of our relationship with Christ in private. Don't you ever post your prayer closet. That's between you and God. Just like I don't post my bedroom. That's the secret place, right? You don't post everything God says to you. See, we live in a generation in which it's show and tell. I have to show everything and I have to tell everything versus letting people see on their own without me showing. Showing says that I'm making a big to-do about something that's going on with me. Show and tell. Telling says that I got to tell somebody. I got to run and tell somebody what God said. And sometimes, listen, we can tell people what God said to us and not apply the very word that God said to us for us to our own life. And someone else can take that same word and run with it and apply it to their lives and reap the benefit of a word that originally was for you. Nothing wrong with sharing, right? But you heard it before, and I'll say it again. If they say that there's about to be a crash landing, the instructions are put your mask on first, and then you will be able to help the other person put on their mask. And myself included, we have some masks to put on ourselves in some areas. before we start touching that area for someone else, before we start teaching that other particular area, right? Show and tell. It's in the house. It's in my private time with God that God begins to unpack some things about me and unpack some things about him, and also listen, and unpack some things about them. Before Jesus goes out and chooses his 12, he spends time alone with God, and he comes out of that time and he begins to choose out and pick out and hand select his disciples. If I spend time with him, he will help me to manage them. He will help me to put them in their proper place in the 3, the 12, the 72. He will help me to identify the relationships in my life and put every relationship in its proper place. It's in our private time to study, fellowship, worship, and prayer, right? That we receive illumination, or you could say revelation, right? And that causes us to be able to walk in elevation. And I'm not just saying that because it rhymes, but it is pretty fly. Walk in elevation. I can have an elevated walk with God based upon my alone time with God. See, there are certain people, listen, you can't walk with me in this particular area because you don't know how to carry yourself in this particular area. As I have alone time with God, I'm privy to some information that others aren't privy to because he lays up sound wisdom for the just. And because I go to him in alone time and quality time with him, I begin to grab, and he begins to share with me those things he has laid up for the just. Those that walk with me, and they are able to tap into this fact that just means just as if I have never sinned. I am the just because I believe in God, because I trust in God, because I'm willing to be upright and upfront and honest with God. I'm willing to accept his shed blood for my life and walk therein, and respect him from this point forward, reverence him from this point forward. See, I don't want to walk as if I'm not doing what I'm doing, and trying to walk with God as if I'm not doing what I'm doing, as if he's blind, as if he's deaf. I'm not perfect, but I do want to walk in uprightness before God. And that can only happen as we walk honestly before God, as we confess it as it comes into our lives. As God convicts, we confess. We say the same thing about whatever God's convicting us about, that God says about that particular situation or circumstance. And then listen, that elevation that comes as we spend unrushed, unhurried time alone with God, as we come into the house, as we have quality alone time in private with God, it helps us to elevate over the attacks of the enemy. And I'm excited about this because the eagle, I love the eagle. My favorite animal is, two, the polar bear and then the bald eagle. The eagle begins to sense the storm and positions him or herself to take advantage of the storm. Right? He positions himself to take advantage of the winds that are about to come into his life. And that's what our alone time with God does. He gives us a sensing sometimes. There are times in which God wants us to sense the storm that's coming. And he wants us to position ourselves to allow the storm to be the very catapult that catapults us into the next level of our effectiveness. Can you sense the storm? When God is calling you into that place of prayer and calling you into that place of fasting, it is your spirit sensing the storm that is to come. I can't tell you how many times God called me into a place of fasting, and God called me into a place of prayer, and God called me into a place of coming apart for him. And it was the very airbag that saved me from the collision that was coming. Listen. The very airbag that you need for the collision that's about to come into your life is found in your alone time with God. It's found in that place of prayer. It's found in that place of intimacy with just you and God. Intimacy, just you. I want you to see. Not for them, I want you to see. Intimacy. Intimate. It's one-on-one. It's between me and you. And listen, we lose some things when we share things prematurely with people that was just supposed to be between you and him. Oh, we got to come back to that place of letting it be the hidden man of the heart. God is a God of hearts. See, our words that we speak in our heart, it is as if we're speaking through our vernacular to God. He hears our hearts. He hears the conversation of our hearts. Do we understand that? He is a God of hearts. He sees in private, he rewards in public, right? And so, number 3, it's in the house. It's in our commitment. It's in our commitment to the relationship, and it's in our commitment to the process. There are certain benefits that you do not get until you decide to make a commitment to the relationship. I won't go there. And then there's a level of being processed from the process that you don't get to partake of. I don't get to partake of. We don't get to partake of if we are committed to the process. And I got to be committed to the process before I go through the hills and before I go through the valleys, before I go through the rough spots. I can't jump off the assembly line because I go through a shaky part. I've watched the assembly line when things are being produced, and it might come from a slope and a nice plain path. And then it might drop down into this rocky area. What if that thing that is being processed jumped off the assembly line while it was in the process? It never would have been processed. We never would have had the end product. I don't know about you, but I want to see the end product of my life. I want to see the end product of what God placed on the inside of me. Therefore, I must be committed to the process. God help us to be committed to the process. We want to jump ship sometimes. We want to get out sometimes, God, but God help us to be committed to the process, that we might be processed, that we might see the end product of what you're allowing us to go through. If Joseph jumps out of the process, he never sees the product, which is the salvation of his brothers, the saving of a whole nation. Come on. See, if I'm not committed to the process, I will spend my life hitting the reset button. So my brother, he hated this. Sometimes if I was losing the game or whatever, I would, I know, let me tell it myself. I would oops and hit the reset button on the Nintendo or on the PlayStation. Oh, I tripped and I would hit the reset button. And some of us, listen, if we're not careful, if we keep tripping over what I said this before, if we keep tripping over what we should be jumping over, we're going to keep hitting the reset button in our lives, and we're going to die in reset mode. We're going to leave the planet, have never gotten to level 3 because we kept pressing reset at level 2. Or for some of us, level 11. I want to reach every area or every level that I can reach with the rest of my life that I have from this point forward, right? And so, number 4, it's within. It's in the house. It's within. It's not without. The provision is in the house. The provision is in the house. Sometimes what you need is in the house, and all you got to do is clean up the house and you'll find it. I'm not talking about your natural house, but for some of y'all that does apply. I'm talking about our spiritual house. Sometimes all we have to do is clean up the mind and we'll be able to see clearly what's in us. Yeah. Sometimes all we have to do is sit with God in private and clean up the mind, stick with the process, and we'll be able to see clearly what's on the inside of us, right? 2 Kings 4:2, a familiar passage. We have all heard it. Sometimes it's been abused, but let's use it for a second to highlight this particular point. 2 Kings 4:2. And Elijah said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house. That doesn't make sense because you just said, but this pot of oil. I don't have anything in my house but this one thing. Don't have a disdain for what you have in your house by continuously looking at what's in their house. He asked your lady, what's in your house? We need to do inventory. Prayerfully do inventory. Father, help me to see what I have in my house. The miracle is not without, the miracle is within. The miracle is not without, the miracle is within. Father, help us and help me to see what's in my house, God. Some of us, listen, your gifts, your talents, our gifts, our talents, they need the CPR of work. Yeah. I'm going to lift up my gifts and my talents to God. I'm going to lift it up with work. Not just with worship. We've heard that. It's okay to worship and you should worship. But part of my worship is work. They used to say, whistle while you work. I'm going to worship while I work. I'm going to maintain a good attitude. I'm going to maintain an attitude of humility, and I'm going to render back to God what he gave to me in worship, and I'm going to work with worship. I'm going to worship with work. Come on. I'm so excited about this message. I hope that you're getting something out of it. God is preaching to me as I preach to you. And so as we wrap up, I'm going to read Matthew 13:36, King James Version. Then Jesus sent the multitude away, and he went into the house. Where did he go? He went into the hotel. He went into the motel. No, he went into a place of permanent residence. He didn't go into the hotel. See, you got to make a decision if you're going to move in or you're just going to be a visitor. You have to make a decision today. I'm not just going to be a visitor, but I'm going to take up permanent residence in my relationship with God. I'm going to take up permanent residence in this new season. I'm not going back. I'm not looking back. I'm not here to visit. I'm here to stay. Not tomorrow, but today I'm making that decision. And so let's keep going. And his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares in the field. Listen, Jesus steps away from the multitude and his disciples come to him. Jesus did not go to them in this particular instance. Why is it that for all of us, we are always waiting on God? What are you doing, bro? Waiting on God. I'm waiting on God to do what he said in the sermon. You don't even understand the sermon. See, you got to go home many times after the sermon to unpack your notes. There is a scientific fact that we retain about 10% of what we hear. You got 90% of work to do when you get home. Some of the best messages I've got, I've had to listen to several times, or I've had to go back and really just delve into it. And as I delve into my notes, I get more notes. I begin to further unpack, and God begins to bring back to my remembrance some things that he said to me off cuff during the actual sermon. We don't get it all on Sunday. Your Monday is very important to your Sunday. Come on now. The Monday after the Sunday sermon is very, very important. It's a very important day. My son's jump shot was off, and it was off because he was messing up on his follow through. Right? It is in the follow. How did he fix his shot? He did something about his follow through. And Monday after your Sunday sermon is your follow through. The devil is he's running, he's chasing, he's trying to make something happen. He's trying to get you distracted. Why? I want that seed. Come on. I want that seed. I'm terrified of that seed. I'm terrified of it taking root and producing something that's going to be in direct opposition against me. I'm terrified of the seed. So I got to get the seed. I got to do something about the seed. And so it is in their private time with Jesus that he begins to unpack the parable. I wonder sometimes, what if they didn't follow after Jesus? What if they weren't hungry to know more? What would they have missed? What would they not be able to access or tap into had they not pursued more? Had they not pursued a deeper revelation, not just information? We are an information-rich generation, but a very generation that's very poor on revelation. We're very poor on application. And sometimes you get the revelation through application. A lot to unpack there, and some might disagree. Sometimes you don't get it until you start doing it. Oh, I get it now, God. I'm going to obey him because he's God. Go, do this here. Well, I'm not doing it, God, until you show me why I have to do it and why I should do it. Well, you'll never know. Follow me. Why? You'll never find out if you don't. I want to assure you I'm trustworthy. I want to assure you that I won't drop you. Right? And so let's do a quick review. Number one, it's in our corporate fellowship under a true shepherd. It's in the house. It's in our corporate fellowship under a true shepherd. It's in the house. Number two, it's in our private cultivation of our relationship with Christ through study, prayer, worship, and fellowship. And then number three, it's in our commitment to the process and the relationship. I am committed to the relationship. God is committed to me. I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I'm so glad that he is committed to me. He doesn't just choose somebody else. He doesn't just go grab the new shiny new thing. He is committed to me. Don't abandon the church that God planted you in, chasing after the shiny new thing. Come on. Don't abandon the place God has placed you in, chasing after the shiny new thing. Stay where God planted you. Because it's only in the place that God planted you or planted me that I'm going to flourish, that I'm going to grow. And flourishing looks different to all of us. Flourishing does not always mean a 3,000 seater, a 4,000 seater. Sometimes flourishing means being faithful with the 10, being faithful with the small group, being faithful with the podcast, being faithful on your job, being faithful to your wife, being faithful to your children. I can't be unfaithful to my children. Another story. And then number four, it's within. It's in the house, it's within. The miracle is not without, the miracle is within. Have a great night.